Well, we're getting a bunch of new content for Star Wars Galaxy's Edge and Disney. We're getting books, we're getting comics, we're getting a whole bunch of stuff, and you'll also get a chance to have your own VR Porg pet that you can raise. And we're also going to be talking about the latest episode of Star Wars Resistance on today's episode of Certain Point of View. Hey, Nerf Herder, I'm Matty Thomas.
And I am Ben Milton.
Oh, God, I don't really like you anymore. They say never meet your heroes.
This is the second time that you've mentioned today that I am your hero.
Yeah.
This is so unnerving to
No,
me.
I know. No, you weren't, but I just thought it would be a funny thing to say.
It's genius. It really is.
Anyway, you can, and welcome to Certain Point of View. It's not about Ben being a hero, but it's about Star Wars and all sorts of nerdy stuff that we like talking about. It's a sometimes Star Wars podcast, just really whatever we feel like talking about. And Ben really feels like talking about stuff other than Star Wars today because I gave him an in, and I wish I never did.
You really did.
Yeah, but before we get to that, because it's highly likely some of those stories will turn you off to listening to us or ever considering, like, even if you were like 1 for 3 on the words coming out of Ben's mouth is credible.
1 for
like
3.
Like that's optimistic. That's like high.
That's being generous to my credibility.
Yeah. But
you feel like this is going to harm my credibility.
The remaining credibility, yes. The remaining shreds.
The other 2 words that I speak will be looked upon differently.
Yeah. No, I mean all 3 will now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So before we get to any of that, don't forget you can check out a bunch of other podcasts on our website that are part of our sort of podcast family that we've put together. That's certainpov.com. You can check out Another Pass, where our Dungeon Master, sometimes Dungeon Master, Case Aiken, Dungeon Master in okay, see, out of context, that's really weird.
You're totally mixing up your shows.
I am. Like, a certain point of view is just melded into one amorphous blob all of a sudden.
Yeah.
So, especially since we have some interesting plans coming up soon. But yeah, so anyway, Case Aiken, who's been a big part of Certain Point of View, has his own podcast, Another Pass, where he revisits movies from time to time, and you'll get a chance to rework some movies up a little bit with repitch some ideas in it. It's a fun exercise to do, even for movies that are good but could stand to be improved or just reworked. It's a fun creative exercise to do.
He did a great. Did you listen to the last episode?
No, I haven't yet.
Covered the Fantastic Four remake.
Fantastic.
Yeah. And it's a fantastic episode. It's great way to sample the show. Check that episode out in particular. It's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. You can do that on our website, certainpov.com. All right, so let's get to today's show. Today we're going to be talking about, actually, so some of this news isn't particularly new. It's just, it's been on the backlog of stuff we've needed to talk about.
Right.
That's the Galaxy's Edge books. But we also got Project Porg we're going to be talking about from ILM X Lab.
Yep.
We're going to talk about a new Star Wars comic that's coming up that could potentially set up an interesting precedent for some Star Wars expanded universe.
Yeah.
And then of course we'll also talk about the most recent episode of Star Wars Resistance. Before we get to that, so Ben clearly just has to get this. Well, it's not really off his chest; it's more out of his bowels.
Well, preface this a little bit. Let's
okay,
back
so
up
I sent you a video and a bunch of other guys a video earlier today because I was on YouTube and Bobby Lee's podcast was suggested to me after watching.
Who suggested you that?
YouTube.
YouTube suggested.
Yeah, YouTube, because I'd watched a bunch of Joe Rogan clips one day, and then it got
so
far
of course
enough.
Then you ended up getting into Bobby Lee. Okay.
Yeah, and so I've watched a few clips here and there over.
And
the
I
past,
love Bobby. Bobby's great.
Oh yeah, over the past month, I've watched some clips from his podcast. I've never actually listened to the podcast itself, but I've watched clips here and there, and it's a funny show. It's like some crazy stuff.
He's a really funny guy.
Yeah, he is, and he's obviously like in a. He's been in weird spaces in his career, and clearly in life too. When I saw a headline and it was with him and his brother, and and his brother was saying, "You're just like our father," and that's what I clicked on. And it was basically him and his girlfriend and his brother basically talking about recently. Apparently, he took a dump in the backseat of his car.
Right.
Essentially.
Yeah.
And also just how bad his diet has gotten.
And how interrelated those two items are.
Right. And I said this, and I said, you know what? I feel like there's still hope for us because we haven't gotten to this level yet with how bad we eat.
And I was like, oh no, I've done that.
And I was like, oh dear God.
So here's the first time I crapped myself.
Okay, crapping yourself is different
Then shitting in a car?
Crapping in the back seat. Like, making the decision. Okay, all right. Let
me tell you the story.
Story.
I take it back. This is the second time I shit myself in a car.
Okay.
This is the story I'll tell is the second time.
Okay.
I was working where I'm working now. This was the first time then when I was working in D.C. I was working in Roslyn at a fairly conservative radio group.
Yeah.
And back then I ate like crap and I drank a lot, right?
Yeah.
So, I was getting older. My body wasn't taking it as well anymore. And back then I took the Metro.
Oh no.
Oh yeah. So I get on Roslyn, and then you go into town because you're taking the orange line, and then I got to get on the red line because they didn't have the green line going all the way through.
Yeah, it's a long trip. It's a couple transfers.
Yeah, you got like a good 45 minutes to an hour. Optimistically.
Minutes,
And then I got to take the green line all the way out to Greenbelt for Jenny to pick me up.
Yeah.
Okay, this is when we were living over in Burtonsville.
Okay.
For those of you who are unfamiliar with the Washington D.C. area, this is on the metro itself. This is an hour and a half.
Trail.
Yeah, this is an hour and a half minimum on the train.
Yeah.
And then another 30-minute car ride home.
Yeah.
To get home. Okay. I started to feel a little slight rumble in the stomach. You know that rumble that you get when you are like, oh, I'm going to have diarrhea.
Yeah.
This is coming now. Yeah. Well, this happened at I don't know, what's the first stop in D.C. coming across the orange line from Roslyn? GW. At GW.
Yeah, that's right. Foggy Bottom.
Foggy Bottom.
It's perfect.
Yes. So I'm like,
story.
Oh man, I'm not feeling good. This is
you got a bit of a foggy bottom going on.
I'm not gonna do well. So I'll cut this story short because we do have a lot to cover today. By the time we get to the green line, which still puts me an hour away from home,
you were green.
Oh, I'm sweating. I'm sitting with my legs crossed. My whole body is just tense, just praying this stuff just doesn't come spraying out of me because there are no bathrooms on the DC Metro. You can't get off the train and then go to a public restroom.
Oh yeah, I know.
Oh no, you can't. You got to get off the train, leave the entire station, and then go find a public restroom. So there's not really an option to do much here, right? So all right, so I'm at Fort Totten. I'm a half hour away from where I go to see Jenny. Yeah. And I'm sweating. And I think I texted Jenny and I was just like, I have to go to the bathroom so bad right now. It's an emergency. And she's like, well, whatever. I mean, we'll go home as fast as we can, but it is what it is. I make it to the last stop, and now I've been holding it so long and so intensely that I'm starting to feel sick. I want to throw up too because I'm just gripping this. Your
thighs are twitching.
Yeah, my thighs are twitching. My butt is just cramped from just squeezing my cheeks together.
Oh no, I know that feeling.
And I mean, every bump on that train, every rock, you're just you're just kind of you're just softly being shaken. Yeah. And it's just pushing it all to the bottom. It just wants to spray out of me so bad. So I'm in so much pain. I slowly stand up. And I walk and put my ticket into the stupid thing, and I'm just like, oh God. I walk all the way out to where the kiss and ride is so that Jenny can pick me up. I get in the front seat of the car, and I'm pushing my feet as hard as I can against the floorboards.
Right, to hold.
Like, just trying to hold it in and just going, Jenny, go. Jenny, go. And I'm sweating and I'm pushing with my arms on the seat.
Yeah.
And I'm like, please just go somewhere.
And I know that's not a quick drive to your home.
No, of course. And it's rush hour traffic.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we're not getting there anytime soon, right? So she goes the back way. She goes up 95, gets off on was the road that you used to take to get to your 212.
Yeah.
She's up there, and then the back. But there's nothing but hills and
Oh,
bumps.
yeah, bumps, yeah.
Oh my God! So we get on Greencastle Road. Nothing but like potholes and bumps.
Right.
We make it all the way to the development.
Oh no! That's the worst when you have that hope.
All the way to the development, and I'm like, oh my God, and I couldn't hold it. I could not hold it, and I crapped myself. Now, I still had enough self-control to not crap it all out. Like it was just like it was just a pulse.
Yeah.
It was just like that quick.
Oh, so you just got like a little bit.
Oh no! In that amount of time, it shot all the way up my back.
Oh no!
It was. I mean, it was everywhere. It was everywhere. And I still had more. So Jenny pulls it, like, as she's pulling in, where the car has not stopped yet in the driveway, I'm opening the door to A, let the smell out, and B, just to get out of my own feces, which is now covering me and like this warm, sticky goo of just awful. And I go, try. At this point, I don't care because I've already crapped myself, so I'm not that stressed about it. So I go running up the stairs to the front door.
And I know those stairs too
and they're
well.
so steep, and it's a
It's
full
a couple
flight.
sets.
Yeah, it's a full flight of stairs. It's not that it's not a couple steps. It's a full flight
And
up.
even to get into the first bathroom, you have to get around the door that you just opened.
Yes, right. So I'm fiddling with the key, and I'm so sweaty, I'm so nervous, I'm so upset with myself. And so embarrassed, like I can't open the door properly. So it takes me like another 30 seconds to get in the door. And then my dogs are jumping all over me. So I crap myself some more. I finally made it into the bathroom. Before Jenny got all the way up the stairs after me, it had all vacated. It was just like an explosion that came out of me. It was so awful. So awful.
Oh my God.
And that's why I had to tell that story.
I don't think we can ever go back from this. Oh my God. I'm so tempted to ask you about the other story, but I don't think we have time. Maybe we need to save that for next week.
Yeah, we'll just have a running story of times I've crapped myself. We should get at least a dozen episodes.
I mean, because I'm not going to pretend to be high-minded and say I've never crapped myself.
You've never crapped yourself in a car? What's the weirdest location you've crapped yourself in?
Have I crapped myself in the car? Yes, I have.
Oh, okay.
But see, crapping yourself. So this is different from what Bobby Lee did.
Bobby Lee actually tried to took his pants down.
Yeah, like what? Like why would you do that?
Well, you don't want, but he said it was still all over his ass and stuff. Like that's what I didn't understand the logistics of it.
Yeah, I know, but because the spray was bouncing back.
Oh, that's right, he was spraying,
and to the point where even after it got cleaned, there were still turds in there that camouflaged with the carpeting. Like, how bad is your car?
What a mess!
The mess that they talked about in that story, was ridiculous.
Well, yeah, but I mean, if you're spraying crap though. Yeah.
But
I eat a lot better now.
Yeah. I've been working on it. I've been a whole lot better.
Since I've been smoking weed, my craps are fantastic now. That's been the third best benefit.
Oh my God.
Oh.
I need a second. Oh.
Yeah, so when you were like, hey, at least we haven't, I was like, oh no, I've done that.
Yeah, crapping yourself, that's
Yes,
different from
yeah.
the actual decision to go into your
the
back
back
seat,
seat
pull
to
your
shit.
pants down.
Yeah, I didn't
Like
have
that-
the opportunity. I didn't have the opportunity to pull my pants down, yeah.
I love, though, when his brother goes, like, you're just like our
You're just like Dad.
I want to hear that story.
He told it.
He kind of did. Yeah, he said, but he would have put a plate. Anyway, oh my God, yeah. No, this is not the Star Wars story you were looking for.
Nope. It happens,
But
it's happened in that universe too.
this is Ben and Addy, so
I guarantee you, Han crapped himself in the Millennium Falcon.
oh, for sure, for sure.
Chewie
Like,
definitely craps in corners.
I mean, there's got to be some point where like there's just a bit of a bump. And it
hyperspace?
happens. Yeah, like I've sneezed and shit myself before. In fact, you know what? I'm gonna break it up and be honest. Happened last week.
What is wrong with you? Was it in public or were you at home?
Sadly, I was in public.
Oh God, that's the worst.
I'm not gonna say where it was.
What did you do?
But it wasn't like I was eating poorly, but like I guess what I had some sort of like there was some curry that loosened me up a little bit that I had, so I was like I was already a little loose and I was sneezing a little bit more than usual, and I sneezed. I was like, oh damn it. Made my way to the bathroom, cleaned myself up. It was very little. It
Right, it was just a little squirt.
Yeah.
It was a little squirt.
Yeah, but it was still like, come on, man.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So
last week.
Far be it for me to judge anyone.
Happened to me last week, he said. Oh, that's great. Oh my God.
Because like I've been eating a lot of like a lot of things to just kind of clean me out as well. So I guess I was a little loose.
You're a little too clean.
A little loose on my cannon was a little looser than usual.
You got a hair trigger.
Yeah. But my God, like I was so disappointed. Like just like the feeling of failure.
So humiliating. Yeah. It is so humiliating. That is the worst thing ever to do.
Yeah.
Like it's such a horrible feeling. I've been mortified every single time it's happened to me.
Well, that's why it was so that story was so close to me because it
just happened. Oh my God, so funny.
And how we have completely destroyed our audience.
If you're still listening to this,
you are the best, and you should hear about our Patreon because
you're our people.
Yeah.
You are our shit people.
I don't know if I can direct. There's no segue to get us back into Star Wars.
Speaking of non sequiturs,
so let's talk about Galaxy's Edge. There we go.
There it is.
Galaxy's Edge, something to look forward to. So Galaxy's Edge, the new Star Wars park that's going to be coming to Disneyland and Disney World this year. We still got to make plans for when we're going to go to this thing. You know, Hans is down at Disney, like lives in Orlando.
We have a place to stay.
Yeah, so he's down to.
All right, well, let me figure out when I can abandon my family. And,
yeah, it's a weird thing, though. That's a weird prospect to be like, hey, guys, I'm going to Disney World and I'm leaving the family behind. I'm going with my weird podcast co-host friend.
This is our second time together. I know you guys have never been. I know none of you have ever been there. But
Disney World, but I'm going to take my work friend. Yeah, that's a little off.
You know, when you say it out loud, we might have to plan that a little bit. Looks way better on paper. All right, we have to think about that.
Wow, yeah, so now I don't know if I really want to go to Galaxy's Edge right now.
Which one of us will crap ourselves? If I get stuck on your ride with you. No way.
All right, so Galaxy's Edge. So we're getting. So they've created.
Have they
this
given
new
a
world.
date yet?
There have been dates that have been thrown around.
But nothing official, really.
This summer is what I've heard.
I bet we'll get the official date at Celebration.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, I'm sure that
makes
will.
the most sense.
They'll have a bunch of stuff at Celebration for sure this year about Galaxy's Edge. Cool thing about Galaxy's Edge, it is like it's going to be an actual Star Wars environment. Characters are going to be out there like pretending like they're on an actual planet. And actually that's one of the things I should check out because this planet is a brand new planet in the Star Wars universe. It's going to have a bunch of stories that are in canon. You're going to have your own stories that play through it as well. The planet of Batuu. And they're already starting to work on some books and comics, some young adult stories that are all going to tie back into this planet.
That's cool.
One of the I believe so. There's definitely a comic. I don't remember what the comic is going to be about, but I believe there's going to be a mini-series, and it's kind of like a backwater place that's visited by smugglers and merchants and travelers. There's going to have a proprietor of rare antiquities, Doc Ondar, and he's going to be an Ithorian. Oh. So that's sort of cool. We also, we'll see what kind of exotic things that the place has to offer. Then there's also going to be a novel that's a prequel to the Disney Parks experience where General Leia Organa is going to send her top spy to Batuu in a search for Resistance allies. So this is going to be pre-Force Awakens and after Return of the Jedi.
Right.
We've also got a young adult novel that's going to go there. This is one book that I'm really interested in, Star Wars Myths and Fables, and we're going to hear about fables and myths that are told within the Star Wars universe.
Ooh.
And some of them will take place on Batuu, and some of them will take place in other planets, and just general sort of an anthology of myths within that universe, which I'm all for. That sounds like a really fun book to check out.
I'm down on that.
That I'm definitely all about. So it's really cool that you can easily just kind of cash in and be like, here's your Millennium Falcon ride, and we're going to be able to be on the Falcon as well. But it's cool that they're going this extra effort of
expanding the universe.
Yeah, and not just it's not just a throwaway park idea. It's,
it's immersive.
Yeah. So
have you been to the Spy Museum yet?
No, I haven't.
So they do kind of a similar thing, not in Star Wars, obviously, but throughout time and Spydom. And when you first go in, they give you a secret identity and little facts about yourself that you're supposed to memorize real quick. And then throughout the museum, you're required to answer questions on the fly and pretend that you're that identity that they gave you. And depending on how quickly you answer it, whatever determines how successful you are in getting to the end and being a spy, or if you've been captured and murdered. I was murdered immediately. Because I was I don't care. I barely know who I am. Why don't I care who this person is? So it's just not. So I'm excited about that. I'm excited to see what story they weave, because there's not really a story in the Spy Museum, but this sounds more like it's going to be story based,
right?
Like an actual EA game.
Yeah, and I think if I don't know if it's only at a particular hotel, but I believe there's one where you can actually get that kind of you're given a story to play out.
Oh, that's so cool
in that space. So
that's where we got to go.
Right?
Screw Hans.
Yeah.
We'll stay at that place.
Yeah, I know. The thing about how expensive that's probably going to be.
Dude, it's worth it. It's Star Wars.
I know, but we got to make some money. So,
speaking of which, Patreon, everybody,
please fund our Galaxy's Edge fantasy, guys.
We're gonna put up a Kickstarter.
Send me to Galaxy's Edge. Well, let's move on
and hire me a good divorce lawyer.
Yeah. So moving on, we also have a new we've talked from time to time about ILM X Lab and some of the projects that they've got.
Yeah.
Coming up. This year, we're supposed to be getting the Darth Vader story experience as well. Through
that one, I'm excited about.
Yeah, super, super excited about. Brand new story. It's told in VR, and they've been working on this for a long time. But we're also getting. I don't know if they've. It doesn't look like they've set a time frame necessarily, but Project Porg, which is sort of they're trying different. With ILM X Lab, they've been trying a lot of different things as far as okay, how do we explore the VR and AR space, the augmented and virtual reality spaces, and do storytelling there. So they're just kind of spitballing. They've had stuff like Trials on Tatooine. They've had a couple other experiences for people to try out, but here you have a pet porg that you basically raise and play with and learns from you, and can even starts to adapt to you. You can even sort of learn, they've made enough
an actual language,
chirps that you can kind of learn what the porg wants by listening to it,
even up to specific foods that it wants,
right? So but yeah, they've got a video out for this, which I'm kind of down for a pet porg.
I thought you would be. I totally thought you would be.
Hey, at least I don't have to clean up after it like a real pet.
Right, you don't have to worry about it shitting itself.
Yeah, exactly. I already got to worry about myself.
If we're going to clean up crap in this house, it's going to be for me. Yeah, it looks fun. It looks cool. I think my kids will love it.
Yeah.
My kids will totally be into it. It seems like that's the kind of thing that it's going to be. I'm not as interested in virtual reality.
Yeah.
Period. Just because I have such a hard time seeing 3D, and so virtual reality is really difficult for me too. Like we got the Jedi game. You got me the Jedi game.
Yeah, and you had a tough time with that one.
I could not see it.
Yeah,
I really had a really hard time. Everybody else loved it.
I was watching you three. I mean, first off, of course, no offense to your kids, but they were having a tough time just navigating it,
right?
Which is understandable. Yeah. It's new and whatever.
Yeah.
And then I step in and I'm just like,
ta-da! So Aiden and I's eyes are both messed up. Yeah. Melanie was really young.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I get that. I understand that, especially with Aiden. And Melanie just didn't know.
Yeah, she had no idea what she was doing. She
right.
was just excited that we were including her.
Yeah.
I just have I have a hard, even in 3D movies, I have a hard time seeing it.
And which is funny because I hate 3D movies as well. I don't like the way they look, and they're disorienting, but I don't know what it is about augmented reality that works a little bit better for me.
Augmented works, like Pokemon Go, works really well for me.
Yeah.
I don't mind that at all.
The VR space, though, is a whole
yeah. When you start talking about depth and putting things in space, I think that my two eyes are very different.
Yeah.
Like my one eye, my left eye is almost 20/20. It's a little degraded, but not bad. But then my right eye, they were like, oh yeah, you need bifocals in that eye.
Dude, what were you doing? Stabbing yourself in the right eye?
Yeah, that's what the doctor asked. He was like, what are you doing to your eyes that they're so dramatically different? I was like, I don't know. This is the first time I've had to wear glasses.
I just jam my right eye against the cup all day.
I wear a pirate patch at work. Yeah, so I don't know. So I think that actually plays into why I have such a hard time with 3D and VR.
That makes sense.
But I like the idea of the gamer. I like the idea of playing with a porg. So this is
augmented reality, so this is a little bit different.
Yeah, I guess it is.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, I was like...
Well, you're not as into the cutesy stuff like I am. I'm you can sell me a porg and an Ewok any day, and I'd go
right.
For
and
it.
I have kids, so
I've
already
got
enough
of that.
Yeah, I'm I don't need any more cute in my life.
Yeah.
I need Darth Vader.
Yeah,
I need his searing hatred. I need something I can identify with. Somebody asked me today. I was really proud of myself. Somebody at work today was like, "Hey, I have a really serious question for you," and I'm expecting the transmitter's broken or satellite, whatever.
Or what happens when we die?
No, yeah, right. Yeah, something I don't mind talking about. But no, he goes, "Was Darth Vader a real Sith?" And I was like, yeah, it's an interesting question. Why do you ask?
That is a fun lead up to that. I have a serious question for you. Because I get those every now and then for a nerd thing, and I'm like, I love that.
Like, oh, okay, this is where we're at. Okay, this is where we are in a relationship. And he's like, well, the Sith can shoot electricity, but we never see Darth Vader use electricity. I was like, that's because he has robot arms.
Yeah.
He's like, that makes so much more sense. Yeah. He's like, you just really I've been worrying about this all weekend long. All right, well, I'm glad I came to work today.
That's why we've got a Star Wars podcast.
That's right. I don't know if you've heard of it. I left him a card. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, I was proud.
Yeah.
I was proud that I knew that one.
Do you think you would get Project Porg for the kids?
Depends on when it comes out and on what devices it's on.
That's what seems like a little annoying because like I feel like every time they release something like this, it's on a completely different device.
Yeah,
and I don't want to have to keep on
its
buying
own unique platform.
Right,
thing.
like please, like Star Wars, tell me which VR AR device to buy.
What are we getting here?
Yeah, so I can get the platform.
Is this going to work on my phone?
Right.
Or do I have to buy something?
Because I don't mind having to buy something. I just want to know what I got to get.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, I don't want to have to buy 3 different things to play 4 different games.
Yeah, exactly. Like I need, I'd like to be able to get Beat Saber on whatever device
I want.
Is on this thing as well. So hopefully, and I think that's just because VR and AR are in such an early stage, so that the technology is already like all over the place. So it's so early
Everybody's
in the
hedging
stage
their
right
bets,
now. Yeah, so I guess we'll see.
That's another reason why I'm not as excited about it is because it is still really early in the process.
Yeah.
And things are a little glitchy and wonky still.
That's true.
So.
But I think what's fascinating is they're kind of pioneering and innovating for a new medium of storytelling.
Yeah.
And when you consider like the thought process that goes into this kind of storytelling, you know, it kind of changes the game as far as immersion. You know, already video gaming has a different type of immersion that you engage in, and you already have to like create different. There's a different approach to writing for that. So I'm very interested to see, you know, what kind of design options come up when you're doing VR. What kind of writing you have to do for VR as the platform kind of progresses.
And what kind of choices do you give your, the user? What kind of choices does a player really have?
Exactly.
How do you make those interesting and meaningful?
Right. So, moving on, we are also getting a new story for the Star Wars comics. Now, obviously, that's not a big deal, but what's a big deal is that this is continuing the original Star Wars comic series, back from the Marvel comic series that started after, it started in the 70s. The last issue was issue 107 in 1986. They are doing a 108 issue picking up from there. Apparently they've even consulted Walt Simonson for this, who has one of like the best runs apparently on Thor. Like they are like, they're continuing the story along with, I think one of the characters, Jackson, which was like a crazy rabbit type character, if I remember.
Okay.
That was a rival of Han and Chewie's.
The 80s were great.
Right?
Cocaine's an awful drug, kids. It really is.
I may be mixing that up, but they are they are continuing that story regardless. So they're picking up a story that hasn't been. I mean, that's 33 years since this story let up, but they're continuing that. It's a one shot at this point. There may be more, there may not be, but you know, at least you know they're kind of adding
wrapping up that story.
Well, I don't know if it's a wrap up.
Or if it's just, I wonder how big the issue is going to be.
Yeah. Exactly,
you know,
but
is it going to just be like a usual 7 to 10 pages of?
Well, and how people respond to it is the other thing.
Well, I imagine there's going to be a great big demand for it because everybody who's a fan of Legends is going to want to get that because it's legitimizing something that is
kind of because this is almost a different set of Legends.
Yeah,
like the Legends that it seems like most people are up in arms about. Are like the books, you know, and that's. But, I mean, sure, there's stuff that started then, but there's a lot. It's a little bit more.
I know it's a little farther off the beaten path for people, but it scratches that itch and it gives that hope to people that more of the Legends are going to be recanonized.
Yeah, which would be, or even if it's not recanonized, like I would actually hope that they're not recanonized. I would actually just hope that.
Well, if they make it, it's canon. Well, they've already said that. Or
they could continue it under a Legends title and Legends branding.
I don't think they will.
But if you were to do that, then you can do that without like, okay, this is not canon, but this is just Legends.
But then that ends up creating the same problem that you got rid of Legends for. Like
that
they got rid of
water.
Yeah, because everything was all over the place. There wasn't really consistency in your product. and yeah, I don't think they'll do that. I think they're going to stick to, if we produce it, it's canon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And I think they're going to just continue to cherry pick pieces of Legends.
Yeah, but
and remake it canon.
But it's not like the kid stories are considered canon. So like even that thought process doesn't necessarily, hold.
Are you talking about the shorts on YouTube?
Yeah, the shorts on YouTube, and then there's also the like the kids Jedi Academy, like the Darth Vader and Son books, like all that stuff isn't considered canon.
I don't think the Darth Vader and Son books are official Lucasfilm.
Yeah, they are.
Are they really?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just going by what I remember them saying about.
Yeah.
Hey, like when Disney bought them.
Right. That was the logic, but I could see them straight like saying, you know what, hey, let's loosen up. There's money to be made here. There's an audience here.
Yeah. No, it makes sense.
Yeah.
It makes total sense to do it.
And I'm of the opinion, who cares if it's canon or not? Like
Whoa,
yeah.
sir, you are in the nerd community.
Yeah, see that's one of those things. I just like when it comes to religion, I don't care if it's canon or not. Like, just tell me a good story.
Yeah.
Like, stop.
Doesn't have to be real to be true.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't have to be real to be true for me.
Okay.
It's about the truth at the heart of the story.
Right.
For me, so Sure, I know some people will really, really care about canon and like will go to great lengths to twist stories into like fitting in with each other, even if it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Like stuff like I mean, but that's how we get stuff like Leia and Luke making out, but then also being related.
Thanks, George.
Yeah, because you were like, you know what? Let's just wrap this up. I have to answer this question now that I've said that there's another Skywalker.
Who could it be?
Yeah, so I guess I'm gonna have to make it Leia.
I don't have the money to hire another actor.
Yeah, or I'm not continuing this series with my original plans for 3 others.
Right.
Right. Until 30 years later. So,
why are we fans of this mess? It's a disaster.
But I think that's an interesting thing about the creative process to see just how plans change and like that. That's why that slavish devotion to canon doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, because like that's how you get that kind of stuff sometimes. But anyway,
I mean, it's the same thought process as like the super religious and super devout in any religion, like that slavish desire to like, this is canon, this is how it has to be, this is the way.
It has to work in my head in this way. I have to fit
and everybody has to make it work this way.
Yeah.
It's a very immature thought process.
Yeah.
At the end of the day.
Yeah, so that's why I'm down for that. And because I'd love to see the what if type stories in Star Wars. I think those would be fun. To get those in comic form or novel form as well. But I'd like a little bit more like, hey, let's have a little bit more fun with this franchise as well. Which, I mean, I'm having fun with the franchise. I'm enjoying what's been put out for the vast majority of it. So,
but it hasn't veered off of what.
I still feel we're in the greatest hits period right now.
Yeah.
I think Last Jedi was the first real
step into a larger universe.
Yeah, there you go. Damn it!
I was gonna work it in one way or the other.
I know you were. I can't believe I set that up for you.
I was just waiting this entire time.
All right, well, on that note, let's continue into that larger universe.
Yep.
And let's talk about Star Wars Resistance.
Let's do it.
We got a new episode this weekend.
We did.
Yep.
We did. It was...
I liked it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I liked it.
Yeah.
It was largely forgettable.
I thought it, like, it's slowly raising the stakes. Like, we're continuing on that slope of like, okay, the First Order is still more dangerous. You're seeing the occupation settle in, and I like that gradual, like,
slip into evil.
Yeah, like that, because that's how that kind of happens. Like, that's how people don't decide like immediately as soon as like we look back on history often and we're like, well, why didn't people decide to leave Nazi Germany
earlier?
Yeah, and it's like having this slow. Like the way the occupation just slowly starts being a little bit more rigid and
slippery
strict.
slope.
Yeah, like that makes those scenarios make a lot more sense, I think.
Yeah.
Where people can look at it and you still see like a character like Tam is still, like she's okay with the First Order even when they're like threatening
her friends.
Yeah.
Her and her friends.
Yeah, but she's willing to kind of excuse it as well, I mean, if they're here to keep order, they're perfectly reasonable. Like, why they don't have any reason to endanger us. They know, like,
who we are, yeah.
Yeah. So, but whereas our heroes are fortunate enough to be in the perspective of knowing that these guys are bad guys ultimately. So they get a chance to, in this case, we have Anzi and we've got
Hype Phazon,
who both have spoken up and against the First Order and are being shipped off to God knows where.
Just off planet. That's all we know.
But fortunately, we got Tora and Kaz who help rescue them.
Mm-hmm.
They hijack the transport, and so they're able to take that and escape to Takodana. And it looks like Anzi knows Maz Kanata. I assume they went to bartending school together. So they're going to be safe, at least for the time being, until we need those characters again. So but at the end of this episode, we also have Kaz, and it seems like Eager and his crew for Team Fireball are in the process of being arrested by the First Order. So we left off on a bit of a cliffhanger.
Dun dun dun. Yeah. It was. I mean, yeah, it was a good cliffhanger. I'll say that.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right about kind of the slow descent of the First Order, and that's there. My only criticism was like we didn't really learn anything new about the characters.
That's true.
In that process.
Yeah. We're starting to see Captain Doza is a little bit more willing to is starting to fight back a little bit.
Yeah.
We're seeing that the First Order is a little bit more callous with them too. That they're a little bit more clear with their intentions.
Yeah. Yeah, now that they've got their foothold, they're getting more aggressive.
Yeah, more bold. Commander Pyre is definitely,
being the dick we always knew he was.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, his name's Commander Pyre, and he wears a gold stormtrooper suit. Like, talk about ego.
Somebody's trying to show off what they don't got.
But yeah.
Overcompensation. I bet his TIE fighter has flames on it.
TIE fighter has flames on it. Yeah. So yeah, I thought it was a good episode. I like.
It was good. Yeah, it was good. I'm excited about where we're going. I'm very excited for where we're going, and I'm almost ready to say I'm ready to get there. It hasn't been a long way to go. This was episode 12, I think, or 16.
I think it's like 16.
I think it's 16. Yeah. And I'm ready for it to really pop off now.
Yeah, exactly. We're ready for this war to get going.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But yeah, so I think that about wraps it up for us today. I mean, we spent a lot of time talking shit. So,
you want to talk about Sylvanas?
Not on this show. We'll talk about that ourselves.
Maybe that'll be a Patreon episode. We haven't done a WoW episode on Patreon for a while. We haven't done that for Brian.
Yeah, no, that's true.
Or as I like to call him, Other Chris.
Other Chris. That's messed up, man. He's one of that's what's even more messed up. He's one of our patrons.
I know.
And you can't get his name right.
I know.
You called him Chris like 17 times that night.
I know. And every time.
If you want to feel like a useless piece of meat by Ben, sign up for Patreon and join us in WoW. You can hang out with us and play with us.
Discord, and I promise I'll get your name wrong. I am a horrible person. I am so sorry, Brian. Oh, God. That was awful. I don't know why I couldn't get his name right.
Yeah,
I felt so bad. And every time it happened, I felt worse. Until finally I was like, I'm going to turn my mic off. Like, I don't deserve that. This poor guy. He doesn't deserve this.
No, he didn't. But if you want to be treated that way too, be a patron.
Yeah, I'd be happy to treat you like garbage.
Join us in World of Warcraft. No, but seriously, we would enjoy having you hang out with us on Discord in World of Warcraft, or if you decide to be one of our patrons because for some reason you stuck with us in this episode past the first 20 minutes.
It was a good story.
Yeah, they were. So. Yeah, you can do all of that on our website, certainpov.com. And until next time, stay scruffy, my nerf herder.